Ah, man, I missed the train.
Train? Train for what?
Why, the hype train for Rainbow Rocks, of course!
Oh dear lord. Well, since you missed the train, why don't we just talk about it here?
That's just crazy enough to work, Bobby! Except, not here. Not here. Not in this form. It's not proper. Let's go through the portal! Duh! Okay, maybe that's too real. Let's go through the portal again! Well, that was a trip and a half. So, with the pony hiatus in full swing, our overlords at Hasbro finally decided to release Rainbow Rocks, the second movie in the Equestria Girls saga. So, unlike many bronies, I actually enjoyed the original Equestria Girls. I felt like, yes, it had its problems, but at the same time, it also had a neat underlying story. It wasn't just about a popularity contest for a school. It also had the fate of two worlds hanging in the balance. If Twilight, say, lost to Sunset Shimmer, then two worlds would be doomed forever. And I felt that was a really cool idea. It also treaded ground that My Little Pony in general has never treaded before. We've had humans in the past gens, but never have we seen the ponies become humans themselves. So before I actually get talking about the story and whatnot of Rainbow Rocks, I actually want to talk about the animation and overall effects. Compared to the first movie, you can really see that the team's really taken what they've learned from Season 4 and applied it to Rainbow Rocks. There are cool lighting effects, really awesome animations, really smooth animations, and overall the vector lines are really clean, really well done, and very high quality. Not only that, but also the new camera angles and whatnot that they try are really great. You can really see that the team itself is really having fun and playing with their new human models. I really actually like the animations and whatnot that the team can now do because they're not working with quadrupeds, they're working with bipedals. So moving on to the story of Rainbow Rocks. The story actually seems to take place sometime after the original movie, but it's never specifically said when, so I'm just gonna infer it takes place almost immediately after. So the basic plot rundown of this movie: three girls named the Dazzlings attend the school and start a giant battle of the bands to basically lure out the equestrian magic that they seek to restore them to their full powers. And it's up to Twilight and the gang once again to conquer evil in the lands of Canterlot High. So while we're on the subject of story, I actually want to talk about Sunset Shimmer herself. Now, I'm a huge fan of Sunset Shimmer. I actually liked her a lot in the original movie, and I also like her in this movie as well. However, that likeness doesn't seem to really spread to the cast itself. It seemed like every other line and every other scene, someone would be bringing up Sunset Shimmer's fault and what had happened at the fall formal. And it just felt like a joke that was overplayed and overdone. We understand that Sunset Shimmer needs to be redeemed, and we understand that she done goofed. But do you really have to mention it every other scene and every time? There's actually a joke inside the movie itself where Sunset Shimmer actually says, "Haha, I'm getting used to it." That's the point where you need to stop and not mention it for a few scenes. I will say one of my favorite scenes in this movie was the kitchen scene with Twilight and Sunset Shimmer. It really showed Sunset had some depth to her and very much an emotional scene venting her frustrations. When time to shine actually happens, it's awesome, but at the same time, I just felt like there was just too much beat up on Sunset Shimmer. It seems like this movie was just made to beat up on Sunset Shimmer and her past mistakes, and I really didn't like that about this movie. Whoa, 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 whoa there, past me. Hang on a minute. Who are you? I'm you from the future. Why are you here, and why is there not a time paradox occurring? Ain't nobody got time for that, Biz. I just gotta say one thing real quick. Look, your opinion on Sunset Shimmer is completely valid in this movie. Yes, they do beat up on her a lot. However, in the show itself, and many fans have criticized that the show can be a little too forgiving with its villains sometimes. One minute they're hated and disgusted on, and the next minute they're happy-go-lucky and everything's fine. I can see what they were trying to do with the movie, with Sunset's redemption, but I do agree with you, past me, that it does kind of run on a little too long. Well, thank you! So, how'd you get here anyway? You know, I don't exactly know, but I better leave before the time paradox occurs. So, yeah, get back to doing that video thing. Alright, so also I want to talk about how Twilight gets there. Twilight gets there in a kind of weird way, and it's kind of meh, I didn't like it that much. Here's the thing, I actually really would prefer if Twilight stayed out of the Equestria Girls movies, to be honest. I feel like Sunset Shimmer, with her redemption, she's really become kind of the Twilight of that group, and I just don't feel like she was really that necessary. In fact, it felt like throughout the whole movie, Sunset was kind of like a third wheel. It just feels like they just kind of shoved Twilight back into the world just because they could. I honestly feel like Sunset Shimmer should take over as Twilight's role in the Canterlot High group at the very least, and only have her to consult every now and then through the magical book. It really felt kind of odd and, I don't know, disjointed to see Sunset be like, yeah guys, I'll just be over here while you guys sit and do your thing. Okay, so let's move on to the songs. Rainbow Rocks has a ton of songs. In fact, I might say that Rainbow Rocks actually has the most songs in any G4 MLP thing ever. It really feels more like a musical than a movie, which isn't a bad thing. Daniel Ingram really gets to shine and really flex his musical muscles in this, and I really liked the Dazzling songs. All of their songs were fantastic and just all around so catchy and they stuck in your head. It was very much the highlight of this movie. Honestly, if you can pick up the soundtrack, I totally would, because it's awesome. Alright, so while we're on this track of music, let's talk about the Dazzlings themselves. Honestly, the Dazzlings' designs and whatnot, even their Equestria Girls designs were awesome and really cool looking. I really liked how the color schemes they chose really gelled well with the characters, and I even liked their equestrian designs, even though we only saw them very briefly. I will say, in terms of being villains, I really liked them. Honestly, I felt like Sunset Shimmer was a really good villain, but these girls really top her in every way, shape, and form. They very much manipulate the audience and really have a way of getting what they want, no matter what. And I really liked that about them. I will say one of my favorite scenes of this movie was when the Dazzlings decided to confront Sunset Shimmer in the dark hallway. It was really awesome, and you could really feel that they were in control the entire time of every situation that they were in. And so the credits have rolled and everything's hunky-dory once again. Except there's a post-credit scene that I actually want to talk about. Now, I won't spoil the scene here, but I will say that it is rather interesting, and I feel like everyone should watch it after the credits roll. Hey there, me again. What do you want now? Yeah, I'm hijacking this real quick. Why? I'm almost done! Yeah, but you're gonna talk about Sunset Shimmer for like 5 more minutes, and I just can't have that anymore. You've talked about her enough. My turn. Well, what can I say? I mean, I can't exactly spoil the post-credit scene. Yeah, about that. Huge spoiler warning real quick. If you want to watch this post-credit scene, go watch it now. I'm about to spoil everything. But you can't just do that! I can and I will. Bye! Alright, so the rundown of this scene is basically we learn that Twilight Sparkle, this Equestria Girl Twilight Sparkle to be exact, has now deduced that something funny's going on in Canterlot High. Question is, for Equestria Girls 3, or if Equestria Girls is going to be a spin-off series, will we see the Equestria Girl Twilight pop up? I have a strong feeling that in at least Equestria Girls 3, that yes, we will see her pop up again. Now this begs the question, will Twilight, our Twilight, be able to return to the Equestria Girls universe? Since the main 6 really can't, because there would be 2 of them, this becomes a similar problem where Twilight might not be able to come back at all, because then there'd be 2 of her. And yeah, that probably wouldn't work out for the school. So I feel that this actually gives the opportunity for Sunset to finally become the Twilight Sparkle of this universe. And yes, I know that you were gonna say that, but I said it now, and my version makes a whole lot more sense than yours did. Well, that wasn't very nice. Yeah, I'm you, it doesn't matter. Alrighty, pal, wrap this up. I'm done. Alright, so in closing, Does Rainbow Rocks beat out the original Equestria Girls movie? In my opinion, yes, very much. I really did like all the songs that it used, and I really did like its plot. The villains were fantastic, and seeing Sunset Shimmer and the Equestria Girls again was really, really awesome. I honestly really like this movie series, and I can't wait to see what comes out of it next. I will say if they do decide to make a spin-off series, I am interested in seeing how it turns out. But honestly, I feel like these movies are better left for the hiatus time when there's not much pony to go around and we just have a nice little movie to tie us over until the next season. But anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed my thoughts and I hope you stay tuned for more. I will definitely be doing something for season 5 whenever it comes out. But anyway guys, until then, I'm UltraMag64. Remember, don't feed those parasprites, and as always, happy gaming. I'll check you out on the flip side. Bye. Hey, does someone wanna get me a mirror or something? Guys, I really don't want to be stuck here. Hello? Bobby? Oh dear.